I love this book so much because it really nails what I learned while reading it. The business world is on edge, and everyone is paying attention to the news. What does she do? What's the talk going around? What does that mean for Dana Bash? Come with us to find out how Dana Bash amazes people. Growing up in a news home. Dana Bash's story began in a busy room in Manhattan. The TV was always set to some part of the never-ending news loop. Bash was born in 1971 into a family that cared a lot about the news. Stuart Schwartz was her father. He worked at a BC News and was a big part of making the famous show Good Morning America. Little Dana loved going to see her dad at work and was very interested in how live TV magic worked. The same could be said about her mom, Frances. She did more than teach. She also wrote about Jewish culture and told them stories and history that would make any child love reading news and nonfiction for the rest of their lives. But Dana's grandma Terry Weinman told her the most powerful story. Terry got to the United States in 1941. He was a Hungarian Jew. Her parents and sister died in the Holocaust, and she was not able to save them. This part of Dana's family past was hard for her to understand, but it taught her something about being strong and how important it is to tell the truth. Dana grew up mostly in Teaneck, New Jersey, which is near Washington, D.C. She and her family had some rules for how they lived their lives. Never lie or hide something, and always tell the truth. Dana didn't just work hard at school while she was at Pascack Hills High School. She also tried to be heard. Dana started writing for the first time in 6th grade when she and a friend wrote a report for their class about Julie, the state's newest American Girl doll. When she was younger, she read a lot of Nancy Drew and American Girl books. She had learned a lot about dolls by the end of the school year, so she knew that her writing job probably wasn't going to take off anytime soon. That she was probably no longer the kind of girl that the American Girl books were meant for. When Dana graduated from high school, she knew exactly what she wanted to do for a living. She wanted to write for a living. She went to George Washington University with the goal of becoming a political reporter. Her family supported her, and she was determined to succeed. What she didn't know at the time was how much her growing in a family that was very interested in the news would affect her amazing story. From working with her dad in the ABC office to getting a big job at CNN, Bash's journey was just beginning and was sure to be exciting. From a youth full of news to the halls of George Washington University, Dana Bash's journey was just getting started. But how did her time in college and the beginning of her work make her the brave journalist we know today? Let's look at how her schooling changed her and her first steps in broadcasting. School and work early. Dana Bash was excited to start academic life when she got to George Washington University in 1989. Politics were talked about all the time on the busy streets of Washington, D.C., which made Dana want to get even more active in politics. She was in the right place because she had chosen to study political communications, a field that seemed like a natural fit for her in a place where she could both study politics and tell stories. Bash had a lot going on while she was in college. In addition to the classes she had to take, she also got work experience in the news business. The big break she needed came when she got a job at NBC in Washington, D.C. After that, she jumped right into working as a political reporter. That wasn't all Dana did. She went one step further and got jobs at CNN and then CBS. She learned a lot about the business before she even finished. She learned a lot about politics and how to do interviews while she was working those jobs. They also taught her how to make TV news shows. Dana worked hard, and it paid off. The girl always got to the top of her class because she was such a good student. Also, she was the only one who was always seen reading a newspaper at lunch. Dana put in a lot of hard work and finished with honors in 1993. But she still wanted to learn even more. She got a master's degree in journalism from the University of Southern California, which helped her get better at writing news pieces. With a strong academic background and a lot of work experience, Dana was ready to face big challenges in her job. A lucky break came her way when CNN posted an ad for a weekend director for its main news show. Dana was so happy that she jumped at the chance to become a working writer. For CNN, Dana worked as a writer on shows like Late Edition and Inside Politics. Dana worked hard and learned the trade, even though she wasn't on camera at first. She learned how to make a news show from coming up with ideas to getting guests on. When she was asked to cover the U.S. Senate, it was her big break. Dana quickly became the person Congress News went to for help because she knew a lot about politics and was good at making links. Her bosses saw how skilled and talented she was and quickly promoted her to the on-air job she has now. The thing that's most unfair about the Dana Bash story is that she clearly fits in the dream job she is now as CNN's face. Even someone who is jealous of her hard work and rise through the ranks can feel good about the news business right now. Plus, it's simple to do your job as a reader without asking tough questions. Bash does, however, ask tough questions, and she does not favor one political party over another when she does so. What Dana Bash didn't know was that the beginning of her life was just the start of a great career. With a solid education and a lot of work experience, she has become one of the most important people in political news, from her time in college to her current job at the U.S. City Hall. Today, the name Bash is more well known and admired than it was yesterday. Beginning her career at CNN, Donna Bash walked into the busy office in 1993 with a lot of energy. She got a job as a weekend show producer right after college and after getting hired. She wasn't dreaming of the glamorous TV job she had now, but she was sure it was a good chance. For her first task, she had to work on Late Version, a talk show on Sunday morning. The host of the show and the executive director, who had been her mentor, had both done great work recently. She gladly took on the role of producer, though she had a few doubts at first because she was still figuring out how to best fulfill her new responsibilities. A big news story came out just a few hours before the live show. Since the show's standard producer wasn't available, Dana had to run things. She wasn't at all calm, but she did the whole show again very quickly. It all went off without a hitch, and her boss was so pleased with how well she handled everything that she soon started using her as a fill-in for other shows, like Inside Politics and Evans and Novak. Dana loved field reporting more than anything else. She liked helping out the reporters who worked on Capitol Hill. When she could, she would run quickly through the long, open hallways to get quotes from politicians and get to important meetings. Through these events, Dana learned a lot about how the government works on the inside. After that, in 1998, she got a great chance. CNN needed a stand-in right away to cover an important vote because their normal Congress reporter wasn't available. Because Dana's boss remembered how calm she had been before, he gave her this chance. Dana stood in front of the camera and gave her report, even though she was nervous. When she started to talk, she felt better. She really did a great job of making sense of the vote so that everyone could understand it. The first TV appearance led to a number of other chances. In the beginning, Dana filled in a lot of blanks. She covered everything from late-night Senate sessions to press interviews early in the morning. People loved her because she could take hard political ideas and turn them into parts that were easy to understand. By the year 2000, Dana worked full-time as a TV reporter. At that time, she was in the middle of the presidential race and kept the country up to date on who would be the next president. Dana kept moving up at CNN and getting better all the time. It became known that she could question politicians from both sides of the aisle in a tough but fair way. When Dana was named chief congressional correspondent in 2008, it showed how well she knew how the government worked. Between working as a producer behind the scenes and becoming a TV star, Dana Bash's road wasn't always smooth, but it wasn't easy either. It was hard to get from the shiny floor of the newsroom to the anchor chair because of long hours, tight schedules, and self-doubt. But the politics of the Republicans and the promise of honest, straightforward news brought Dana Bash back into the living rooms of TV viewers. And in true Bash style, she stuck the landing by reporting with a level of clarity and reliability that made it seem like the government and democracy could be understood by everyone. As a producer behind the scenes at CNN, Dana Bash worked her way up to becoming a star on screen. What had happened, though, when she became famous full-time? How did this shy producer become one of the bravest political interviews in the United States? Getting closer to the camera. That first time Dana Bash went on TV, she was very nervous. As she stood in front of the camera, her heart was beating fast. As soon as the red light turned on, she took a deep breath. This meant that she could start the show. She surprised herself and everyone else by giving a great show. In the year 2000, that one event set off a chain of events that made her a regular on-air personality at CNN. Not long after her first day on Capitol Hill, she was reporting big political events. Everyone noticed how smart and calm she was. And those were the two traits that CNN was looking for most in a speaker. Dana had a hard time going from being a director behind the scenes to being the face of a news show on air. Even when her fears were getting the best of her, she had to learn how to do her makeup right, put together the perfect TV wardrobe, and talk clearly. There were a lot of funny mistakes along the way, but Dana's determination paid off. During the 2000 race, she got a lot of attention, as everyone in the country held their breath to see how the nasty fight between George W. Bush and Al Gore would end. Dana found herself in the middle of the story. When it came to the law problems that came with the election, the words confusing and understand didn't seem to go together. But Dana helped the crowd understand, and soon she was a well-known figure on the street, with people wanting to know what she thinks about the new events. The most important thing is that Dana got good at being a tough interviewer. Dana's ideas were hard to pin down, in part because she fought back when others tried. People probably couldn't pin her down too far because she handles her side of the talk so toughly. As a psychologist might say, she takes a half turn to the left when the person she's interviewing tries to take a half turn to the right. This is the same method Dana used to question Eastwood about his presidential speech, in which he led a public crying session for his poor son, who directed the equally poor movie Gran Torino. Dana Bash has been in the news a lot, but her interview with Hillary Clinton during the 2016 presidential race stands out. Bash asked things that had to be asked but weren't fun to do. Dana kept asking for an answer even when Clinton looked like she was stressed. The people running for president need to be asked the tough questions. The thing that really made Dana famous in politics is not just her TV appearances, it's also the fact that she can explain complicated political ideas in simple terms, which not many people can do. For example, Dana used infographics to show what was going on during the budget talks. One of Dana's drawings did what all good graphics should do in this case. It helped me understand a story that was hard to follow. But Dana hasn't forgotten how she started out as a director. The person she talked about comes in early, works hard, and thinks things through. People who sit in the host chair are really working reporters, and Dana is one of them. It became more common for Dana Bash to be on TV, and she became known for giving tough interviews. But nothing could have prepared her for the chaos of the 2012 election. Would this young star be able to handle one of the most heated political fights in recent memory? 2012, news of the election. In 2012, there was a lot of excitement in newsrooms across the United States because it was an election year. I didn't think Dana Bash was ready to jump right in. Not knowing that this election would test her abilities and make her one of the best political writers at CNN, she thought it was just another election. Her hard-fought race for the Republican nomination took her all over the country, from the cold state of New Hampshire to the warm state of Florida. She left the comforts of the CNN offices and got on the loud campaign buses. She went to town halls that were packed with people, and pretty much got into the lives of the candidates. Her days were long, they often didn't end until well after dark. They started early in the morning. She had a lot of coffee and a nervous thrill that kept her going. On a cold morning in Michigan, Dana found something very strange. It was her job to listen in on talks between Democratic voters who switched to the Republican primary to help Rick Santorum. She set out to find out more because she was naturally interested. Dana mostly talked to women on the walk. One woman in particular, Crystal Larson, 48, a mother of two, stood out. "I'm a Democrat, but I just voted for Santorum. It's my way of helping Obama," Larson told Dana, with an admirable directness that is the hallmark of just about every man, woman, and child on the street in America after the primaries. Dana had an even bigger job to do during the general election. She had to keep up with two campaigns, Obama's and Romney's, from a certain point of view. She covered both sides of the race. Dana did a great job covering the event. She was quick, smart, and had a straightforward style that people liked. The Democratic National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina, was one of her best times in the crowd. She saw former President Bill Clinton and yelled a question for him on Spanish-language media. When he answered, she was thrilled. However, Dana's work wasn't always exciting. A lot of her time was spent reading poll results, news on campaign spending, and the candidates' policy proposals that were basically the same ideas. Sometimes she had to explain in great detail what different parts of the election meant for voters. She was given maps to help her do this in the studio. The days before election night were getting shorter and shorter, and the newsroom's energy started to make Dana feel excited. She was ready for one of those times when anything could happen. As results came in from all over the country, Dana stood in front of CNN's huge map for hours, making sure they were always up to date. She led viewers through the huge amount of knowledge with the clarity and calmness that she is known for. When it was finally announced that Barack Obama had won, Dana's work went in a different direction right away. She rushed to Chicago to cover the winning speech of the new president-elect and then to Boston to record Mitt Romney's words of surrender. Over the course of one long day, she went through 3 states and barely had time to breathe. The election of 2012 was a big deal for Bash. It showed off her skills, pushed her to new heights, and set her up for a bigger chance in the future. You can be sure that Bash will get another chance. She is now 2 steps ahead of the average political reporter and on her way to becoming a top CNN reporter. It was more than just a new job for Dana Bash when she became the main political reporter at CNN. It was a change that made political news different in every way. It was already well known that Dana was a smart and tough political writer, but she jumped at this new chance with reckless abandon. Why not? Few writers would ever dream of working as the main political reporter for a network that covers all of politics. It was almost like she had jumped on the front of a train and sped it forward at full speed. But Dana's goals went far beyond just reporting the news. She had a fire inside her that was lit when she was a little girl. After working as an intern at the Daily Herald, a local newspaper, during the 2002 to 2003 school year, Dana won first place for her reporting. This happened when she was a junior in high school. After that, she didn't think about any other job that would be worth her time. She beat the odds. She did a lot of work. She had a great deal of success. And that 2019 success came with a huge award. It's been great to see Dana's steady rise at CNN. As a host on the network's impromptu show Air Divan, her responsibilities have grown to the point where the way she questions people could now be called her signature style. She became better known among the people who do interviews for the Sunday morning show State of the Union almost every week. People tend to wonder why she's not in the host chair when she doesn't show up. As Dana got used to being one of CNN's top writers, she knew she still had a long way to go. Every day she gave them a chance to tell an important story about the American people in a way that only journalists could. Journalism was not only a way for Dana Bash to show the people the world, but also to change it for the better. The daily life of Dana Bash. When the cameras aren't rolling, Dana Bash is just as interesting as when they are. Some people know her for asking tough questions of lawmakers and being able to handle tough news stories, but many things in her life have been a surprise. She married Jeremy Bash in 1998. He was a smart young lawyer who worked for powerful politicians and told her secret things that kept her awake at night. But what's so great about this love story? Anyway, King became a Jew before they got married. He turned up the heat as he learned more about Dana and her world after meeting her for the first time. A boy named Jonah was born to the couple in 2011. For a while, everything in their love story seemed perfect. Living in the public eye, on the other hand, can be hard. It had only been a year since Dana and John had their son Jonah. He was born. All three parents agreed that it was a sad event that they thought was for the best. The public was able to see the whole thing. At CNN, where both of them have become more well-known for their political coverage, Dana and John kept working together. Even with all of this going on, Dana has kept working. If anything, she has worked harder. Dana's story shows how to act professionally. You wouldn't know that Dana went through a breakup from the way she acts in public. She keeps it together, is very nice and polite to her ex-husband, and still does the work that her job as a reporter requires of her. That's clear from shows like This Is CNN and Anderson Cooper, 360 Inches. The way Dana Bash's world changes all the time is truly amazing. Her personal life, which has its ups and downs, gives her story more meaning. How has Bash been able to handle the difficulties of her personal life and her well-known job? Power, parenting, and leaving a legacy of balance. Dana Bash's life has been like a roller coaster. When things got tough, she was always able to get back on and ride high again. Both of her weddings ended in divorce, even though she has been married twice. She had a son named Jonah in June 2011. Dana and John are no longer married, but they get along well because of Jonah. Dana is a mom who always puts being a mom first. Jonah has grown up in a unique environment because both of his parents are well-known and respected writers. They have made him something of a public figure. People notice him even though his parents try to keep him out of the public eye. He seems to have a pretty normal life, though. It was his 10th birthday last week, and his parents are both public journalists. After her split from John, Dana quickly found a new love. In 2013, she began dating actor Spencer Garrett. Spencer was born on September 19, 1963. He is very good at what he does and has done a lot of work in movies and TV shows. He and Dana keep their lives pretty quiet. People talk about them as a couple because they're together so much at public events. Spencer went to a CNN event in July 2023 to honor Dana's 30 years of service to the network. Spencer and Dana have been together for more than 10 years. They look great together and seem very happy. On the other hand, John King hasn't been in a public romance since the breakup. In his personal life, he has kept a low profile, and he seems to be focusing more than ever on his job and being a dad. People are interested in Dana Bash's personal life, but her many work achievements are what get the most attention. She has hosted some of the most important political events in the country and talked to many of our most famous and infamous leaders, such as Senators Rand Paul and Ted Cruz. Bash has been seen as a reliable anchor for a long time. Reporting on big events like Hurricane Katrina and the capture of Saddam Hussein solidified this view for many people. Franklin Pierce University gave her an honors degree in 2018. As of 2024, Dana Bash has a net worth of about $9 million. She makes most of her money from her job as top political correspondent at CNN. That's where she makes about $3 million a year. Dana also makes extra money by giving speeches at events, where she talks about her political adventures and what she knows about the subject. And Bash is not a fool when it comes to managing her money. In 2016, she paid a little more than $2 million for a beautiful house in the nation's capital. Dana Bash's story is one of strength and hard work. She has found a way to balance being a mother and having a challenging job. In this story, people work hard and succeed. told in a humble and skilled way by a woman who is a leader in the unstable world of American political news. Many people who follow her work are moved by her story, and the way it was written reads like an American love story. Thanks for seeing. Just click the like button, leave some nice comments, and don't forget to follow for more cool videos. Click on the movie that shows up on your screen to watch another interesting one. Now,